The conference room aboard the Galactic Council station was built to make visitors feel small. Ambassador Eric Walsh knew this the moment he walked through the doors. The ceiling stretched up for what seemed like miles, and the walls glowed with a soft blue light that hurt human eyes after too long. The council members sat on raised platforms, looking down at him like judges at a trial. Eric had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 3 years now. In that time, he had learned to read the aliens around him. Today, something felt wrong. Council Prime Velcor, a tall creature with gray skin and too many fingers, smiled down at him. The expression looked friendly, but Eric had seen that same smile before. It was the smile a predator gave its prey. "Ambassador Walsh," Velcor said, his voice smooth and warm. "We are pleased to present Earth with this tremendous opportunity. Your species has shown remarkable progress in such a short time. The Council wishes to welcome humanity as a protected junior species." Eric looked at the datapad in his hands. The treaty looked good on the surface. Protection from hostile species, access to Council technology, trade agreements that would make Earth rich. But Eric had learned to read the fine print. And this treaty had a lot of fine print. "This is very generous," Eric said carefully. "My government will need time to review the terms." "Of course," Velcor said, "but we hope you understand the urgency. There are dangers in the galaxy. Earth needs protection. The sooner you sign, the safer your people will be." Eric nodded and left the chamber. He walked quickly through the corridors of the station, his mind racing. Something about Velcor's words bothered him. The Council had never shown this much interest in Earth before. Humanity was new to space, barely worth noticing. So why the sudden concern for their safety? Back in his quarters, Eric pulled up his secure communication system. He sent an encrypted message to Earth, flagged urgent. Then he started digging through the Council's public records. He had access to most of their databases as an ambassador. What he found made his blood run cold. 20 years ago, a species called the Ven had signed a similar treaty. Within 5 years, the Council controlled their military. Within 10, the Ven had no real government of their own. They existed as workers and servants to Council species. The Korathi had signed 15 years ago. Their story was the same. The Pelax had signed just 8 years ago. Their home world was now administered by Council governors. Eric kept searching. Every species that had signed a protected junior species treaty had lost their freedom. The pattern was clear. The treaty was a trap. He needed proof, something he could show Earth's government that would make them understand the danger. Eric spent the next week quietly investigating. He attended council meetings and smiled at the right times. He made small talk with other ambassadors, and late at night, he broke into systems he was not supposed to access. Commander Lisa Martinez received Eric's encrypted files 3 days later. She sat in her office at Earth Defense Intelligence, coffee growing cold as she read through the data. Lisa had been tracking galactic politics for years, and she had suspected something like this. But seeing the proof was different. She pulled up more information from Earth's spy satellites. For the past 6 months, Council military ships had been moving into positions near human colonies. Not close enough to be obvious. Not enough to be called an invasion force. But definitely more than normal traffic patterns would explain. Lisa called Admiral Jack Harrison immediately. "We have a problem," she said without greeting. "The Council is positioning assets around our colonies. And Walsh just sent proof that their treaty is designed to subjugate us." Jack Harrison had commanded Earth's defense forces for 12 years. He was a calm man, hard to shake. But Lisa heard the tension in his voice when he responded. "How long do we have? Walsh says they want the treaty signed within 2 weeks. After that, they'll probably claim we're a threat and move in anyway." "Then we move first," Jack said. "Get me everything you have. I need to brief the Joint Chiefs within the hour." Lisa worked through the night. She compiled reports, verified intelligence, and built a case that no one could deny. The Galactic Council was not humanity's friend. They were would-be masters, and they thought Earth would be easy to control. Senator Katie Brooks read the intelligence report in her secure office. As head of the Defense Committee, she had clearance for classified information. But this went beyond anything she had expected. "You're telling me," she said slowly, "that the Council plans to turn Earth into a slave world." "Not in those words," Lisa said. "But yes, that's exactly what the treaty does. We sign, we give up control of our military. We allow Council observers in our government. We accept their technology standards. Within a decade, we won't be able to make a decision without their approval." Katie looked at the evidence. Ship movements, financial records showing how Council species had taken over the economies of treaty signers, testimony from Ven refugees who had escaped to neutral space. "Does the President know?" Katie asked. "She's being briefed right now," Admiral Harrison said. "We need congressional approval for what we're planning." "What are we planning?" Jack Harrison pulled up a star map. Red dots marked Council military positions. Blue dots showed Earth's hidden fleet deployments. "For 20 years, we've been building a military in secret. Every nation on Earth contributed. We knew that first contact might not be peaceful. We prepared for the worst while hoping for the best." He zoomed in on the Council positions. "They think we're weak. They think we're primitives who just learned to leave our own star system. They have no idea what we're capable of. So we're going to hit them before they hit us. Hard, fast, and without warning." Katie stared at the map. The plan was bold, crazy, dangerous. But looking at the evidence, looking at what had happened to other species who trusted the Council, she saw no other choice. "How sure are you that we can win?" she asked. "We have better weapons than they expect," Jack said. "We have the element of surprise. And we have something they don't understand. We have people who would rather die fighting than live as slaves." Tribes? Eric Walsh sat in the Council chamber 3 days later. Velcor was making another speech about the benefits of joining the Council, about how humanity would be safe and prosperous, about how Earth's leaders should sign the treaty and trust the Council to guide them. Eric had a recording device hidden in his jacket. He had recorded every private conversation with Velcor and other Council members. He had proof of their real intentions, the lies, the plans to control Earth, the contempt they felt for humanity. Velcor smiled at him again. "Ambassador Walsh, surely you see the wisdom of accepting our offer. Why would Earth refuse protection and prosperity?" Eric looked up at the alien leader. He thought about the Ven, working in mines on Council worlds. He thought about the Korathi, who had lost their culture and their freedom. He thought about Earth, and the 7 billion humans who had no idea they were being targeted. "I will present the treaty to my government," Eric said. His voice was steady. "I'm sure they will give it all the consideration it deserves." Velcor's smile widened. He thought he had won. He thought Earth would sign. He thought humanity would walk into the trap willingly. He had no idea that Earth's warships were already moving into position. He had no idea that humanity had been watching the Council for years, learning their weaknesses, preparing for this moment. He had no idea that in less than 1 week, Earth would strike first, and strike hard. The Galactic Council had lied. They had underestimated humanity. They were about to learn that humans did not kneel easily. And when pushed, they pushed back harder than anyone expected. The meeting ended. Eric left the chamber and headed for his ship. He had done his job. He had gathered the proof. He had bought Earth the time it needed. Now it was up to Admiral Harrison and the fleet to finish what the Council had started. The ESS Valiant hung in the darkness between stars, running silent. Captain Ryan Torres stood on the bridge, watching the display screens show nothing but empty space. To anyone scanning this region, there was nothing here. No ships, no activity, just the cold void between solar systems. Ryan knew better. Hidden in this empty space were 47 Earth warships. They were using stealth technology that the Council did not know humans possessed. They had been waiting here for 3 days, and they would wait as long as needed. "Status report," Ryan said quietly. Lieutenant Megan Foster looked up from her tactical station. "All ships report ready, Captain. Weapons charged. Engines on standby. We're reading Council fleet movements exactly as predicted." They're still positioned around our colonies, and they haven't detected us. Ryan nodded. The Council thought they were being clever. They had surrounded Earth's colony worlds with what they called defense patrols. But Earth's intelligence had broken their communications months ago. The patrols were not there to defend. They were there to intimidate and, when the time came, to invade. How long until the other strike groups are in position? Ryan asked. General Stone says 6 hours, Megan replied. Captain Kane's group is moving into position near the Council's main shipyard. Commander Palmer's teams are approaching their command stations. Ryan looked at the tactical display. Earth's plan was simple, but required perfect timing. They would hit 15 Council military installations at the same moment: shipyards, command centers, supply depots, and fleet bases. They would cripple the Council's ability to respond before the enemy even knew they were under attack. Captain, Megan said. Incoming encrypted message from Admiral Harrison. Ryan read the message quickly. Final authorization had come through. Earth's government had voted. The President had given the order. Operation Daybreak was approved. Send a signal to all ships, Ryan said. Encrypted burst transmission. Operation Daybreak is go. Attack in 6 hours, Mark. Across the sector, Earth's hidden fleet received the message. Captains who had been waiting in the dark for days finally had their orders. Crews who had trained for this mission their entire careers prepared their weapons. And humanity held its breath. Deep in the asteroid belt of the Kepler system, Dr. Amy Chen watched the final tests of her weapons design. The laboratory was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, one of dozens of secret research facilities Earth had built over the past 2 decades. Particle beam is stable, her assistant said. Energy output is 300% higher than Council equivalents. Amy allowed herself a small smile. The Council thought they had the best weapons in the galaxy. They had not counted on human innovation. While Council engineers followed traditional designs that had not changed in centuries, human scientists had pushed every limit. They had built weapons that were smaller, faster, and more powerful than anything the Council used. What about the railguns? Amy asked. Tested and installed on all frontline ships. Projectile velocity is 0.95 light speed. The Council's shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They won't know what hit them. Amy pulled up the deployment schedule. Every Earth warship carried her weapons now. Particle beams that could cut through Council armor like paper. Railguns that fired metal slugs faster than the enemy could track. Missiles that could think for themselves and adapt to countermeasures. The Council had better technology in many areas. Better engines. Better sensors. Better life support. But in weapons design, humanity had surpassed them, because humans understood one simple truth that the peaceful Council had forgotten. War was not about having the best technology. It was about having the technology that killed your enemy before they killed you. General Kevin Stone sat in the command center buried 3 miles under the Rocky Mountains. Around him, hundreds of officers coordinated the largest military operation in human history. Screens showed the positions of every Earth ship, every Council target, and every neutral vessel that might get caught in the crossfire. Sir, one of the communications officers said, Captain Kane reports her strike group is in position at the Vex shipyards. Kevin marked it on his board. That was the last group. Every strike team was ready. How are the evacuations going? He asked. Complete, sir. All civilians have been moved from our forward colonies to the core worlds. The Council's surveillance teams noticed the population movements, but we told them it was a cultural festival. They believed it. Kevin shook his head. The Council's arrogance made them stupid. They saw what they expected to see. They expected humans to be weak, primitive, and easy to manipulate. So when Earth's colonies seemed to empty out, the Council accepted the lie about a festival. They never considered that humanity might be preparing for war. Status on the Council fleet? Kevin asked. Still in their standard patrol patterns. No indication they suspect anything. Their ships are spread thin, trying to intimidate our colonies. They're in the worst possible position to respond to an attack. Good. Send the final go signal to all strike groups. Attack commences in 90 minutes. On the bridge of the ESS Thunderhead, Captain Stephanie Kane reviewed her target one more time. The Vex shipyard was the Council's largest military construction facility. It could build 6 dreadnoughts at once. Right now, it had 4 under construction, and 2 more fully armed and waiting for their crews. Tactical, Stephanie said. Confirm firing solutions on all targets. Confirmed, Captain. We have solutions on the station. Both completed dreadnoughts, the orbital defense platforms, and the patrol ships. We can take them all in the first salvo. Stephanie looked at her crew. They were young. Most of them. The oldest was 42. The youngest was 23. They had trained for years but never seen real combat. In 90 minutes, that would change. I won't lie to you, she said. This is going to be brutal. The Council thinks we're primitives. They think we're easy targets. They're wrong. But that doesn't mean this will be easy. We're hitting them first, and we're hitting them hard. Stay focused, follow your training, and remember why we're doing this. She pulled up an image on the main screen. It showed a Venn child working in a Council mine. The child could not have been more than 10 years old. This is what the Council does to species they conquer. They take their freedom. They take their dignity. They take their future. Earth will not end up like this. We're making sure of that today. The crew stared at the image. Some looked angry. Some looked determined. All of them understood. Lieutenant Brandon Cole sat in his fighter, waiting in the launch bay of the ESS Horizon. His squadron had 12 fighters, each one equipped with the latest weapons and stealth systems. Their job was to take out the Council's communication network in the first minutes of the attack. All pilots. This is Cole, he said over the squadron channel. Final check. Sound off. One by one, his pilots reported ready. Brandon had flown with most of them for 3 years. They were good, better than good, but they had never been in a real fight. Listen up, Brandon said. In 1 hour, we launch. Our targets are the relay stations that let the Council coordinate their fleet. We take those out, and they can't warn each other about the attacks. They can't call for reinforcements. They can't organize a defense. Everything depends on us being fast and accurate. Questions? What if they have fighters waiting? One of the younger pilots asked. Then we go through them, Brandon said simply. The Council hasn't fought a real war in 200 years. Their pilots train for parades, not combat. We train to win. Trust your training and trust each other. Admiral Jack Harrison stood alone in his ready room aboard the ESS Independence, Earth's flagship. In 30 minutes, he would give the order that would change human history forever. Humanity would stop being the newcomers asking for a place at the table. They would become players in the galactic game, whether the Council liked it or not. He thought about the other species that had trusted the Council. The Ven, the Korathi, the Palax. All of them had believed the promises. All of them had signed the treaties. All of them had lost everything. Earth would not make that mistake. Jack pulled up the comm system and opened a channel to every ship in the fleet, every captain, every crew member. They all needed to hear this. This is Admiral Harrison, he said. In 28 minutes, we attack. The Galactic Council believes humanity will surrender our freedom without a fight. They believe we're too weak to resist. They believe we'll sign their treaty and accept their control. They are wrong. He paused, choosing his words carefully. 20 years ago, Earth's nations came together and built this fleet in secret. We did it because we knew the galaxy might not be friendly. We hoped for peace, but we prepared for war. That preparation is about to pay off. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity bows to no one. We show them that Earth's people will fight for their freedom. And we show the Council that they made a fatal mistake when they tried to make us slaves. Jack looked at the mission clock. 26 minutes. Every target has been scouted. Every weapon has been tested. Every plan has been reviewed. You know your jobs. Do them well. Hit hard. Hit fast. And show them what happens when you threaten Earth. Harrison out. He closed the channel and sat down. There was nothing left to do but wait. In 26 minutes, Earth would strike. The galaxy would reel. and nothing would ever be the same. The attack began at exactly 0400 Galactic Standard Time, across 15 star systems simultaneously. For the Galactic Council, it started as a normal night watch shift. For humanity, it was the opening shot of their war for freedom. Captain Stephanie Kane gave the order without hesitation. All weapons, fire. The ESS Thunderhead dropped its stealth field and unleashed everything it had. Particle beams lanced through space, striking the Vex shipyard's main structure. The energy weapons cut through the station's hull like it was made of paper. Metal melted. Atmosphere vented. Entire sections exploded as power conduits overloaded. The two completed Council dreadnoughts never had a chance to raise shields. Railgun rounds moving at near light speed punched through their hulls before their crews even knew they were under attack. The massive warships, each designed to intimidate entire planets, died in the first 10 seconds. Targets 1 through 7 destroyed, the tactical officer reported. Defense platforms are trying to come online. They're too slow. Take them out, Stephanie ordered. More particle beams fired. The orbital defense platforms, designed to protect the shipyard, exploded one by one. The Council engineers who built them never imagined someone would attack before giving them time to power up. They had designed for long-range engagement. They had not designed for an enemy that appeared out of nowhere and fired immediately. Status of the shipyard? Stephanie asked. Main construction bays destroyed. Power core going critical. The station is finished, Captain. Stephanie allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Council's largest shipyard was gone. They would build no more dreadnoughts here. All ships, form up. Next target is the supply depot at Kev 4. Move out. Across the sector, similar scenes played out. Captain Ryan Torres watched as his strike group annihilated a Council fleet base. The enemy ships had been docked, crews on shore leave. They died without firing a shot. Commander Greg Palmer's Marines stormed communication stations, downloading files and destroying equipment. Lieutenant Brandon Cole's fighter squadron destroyed relay satellites, cutting the Council's ability to coordinate their forces. Everywhere Earth struck, the Council forces crumbled. They had weapons. They had ships. They had training. But they had no warning. No time to prepare. No understanding of what they faced. Admiral Jack Harrison monitored the battle from the Independence. Reports flooded in from every strike group. Green lights across the board. Targets destroyed. Minimal casualties. The operation was working better than anyone had dared hope. Admiral, his communications officer said, we're receiving transmissions from Council forces. They're trying to figure out what's happening. Put it on, speaker, Jack said. The bridge filled with confused, panicked alien voices, Council captains calling for orders, station commanders reporting attacks, fleet admirals trying to organize a response. But there was no response to organize. Earth had hit too many places at once. The Council's command structure was in chaos. Sir, we have confirmation, the tactical officer said. All primary targets destroyed or disabled. 68 Council warships destroyed. 21 military installations neutralized. Our losses are 3 fighters and minor damage to the ESS Phoenix. Jack nodded slowly. 3 pilots dead. He would remember them. But compared to what they had accomplished, compared to what would have happened if Earth had surrendered, the cost was acceptable. Open a channel, Jack said. All frequencies. I want every Council member, every neutral species, and every Earth citizen to hear this. The communications officer worked quickly. Channel open, sir. You're broadcasting across the entire sector. Jack stood, straightening his uniform. What he said next would define humanity's place in the galaxy. This is Admiral Jack Harrison of the Earth Defense Forces. 4 hours ago, Earth's military struck Galactic Council installations across 15 star systems. We destroyed shipyards, fleet bases, supply depots, and command centers. We did this because the Council attempted to deceive humanity into surrendering our freedom. He pulled up the files Eric Walsh had gathered. For the past 3 weeks, Council Prime Velcor has tried to convince Earth to sign a treaty. He promised protection and prosperity. He lied. The treaty was designed to make Earth a slave world. Just like the Ven, the Korathi, and the Pelax before us. We have proof of this deception. We are broadcasting that proof now across all channels. The files went out. Recordings of Velcor admitting the treaty's true purpose. Financial records showing how the Council had exploited other species. Testimony from refugees. Everything Eric had risked his life to gather. Earth will not be enslaved, Jack continued. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not allow the Council to threaten us. Today's strike was a message. Humanity can defend itself, and we will defend any other species that the Council tries to subjugate. This war ends when the Council dissolves and a new, fair system is created. Until then, Earth considers itself at war with the Galactic Council and any species that supports their tyranny. He paused, letting his words sink in across 100 worlds. To the Council's victims, know that you are not alone. Earth stands with you. To neutral species, know the truth about the Council's lies. And to the Council itself, know this: you started this by trying to make us slaves. We will finish it by making sure you can never enslave anyone again. Harrison out. The bridge was silent after he finished. Then his executive officer spoke quietly. Sir, we're reading massive activity on all Council channels. They're in complete chaos. Some member species are demanding explanations. Others are calling for retaliation. But there's no unified response. They don't know what to do. Jack sat back down. Good. Keep them confused. Order all strike groups to proceed to secondary targets. We need to maintain pressure. Don't give them time to recover. On the Council homeworld of Velris, Council Prime Velcor watched the broadcasts in his private chamber. His carefully built plan was collapsing. Earth was supposed to be weak. They were supposed to sign the treaty. They were supposed to be easy to control. Instead, they had destroyed a third of the Council's military capacity in 4 hours. Get me fleet commanders, Velcor ordered. Get me the defense minister. Get me anyone who can explain how primitives just destroyed our most secure installations. His aide looked terrified. Sir, our fleet commanders are dead. The humans hit the command stations first. The defense minister is trying to organize a response, but our communication network is damaged. Orders aren't getting through. Velcor felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. Real. Genuine fear. What about our reserve fleets? Moving to defensive positions around core worlds. But sir, we don't know where the humans will strike next. They could be anywhere, and we can't track their ships. Velcor pulled up the tactical reports. Earth's warships had appeared from nowhere, destroyed their targets, and vanished again. The Council's best sensors had not detected them until they were already firing. How is this possible? Velcor whispered. The humans barely achieved faster than light travel 10 years ago. How do they have stealth technology? How do they have weapons that can destroy our dreadnoughts? No one had an answer. The Council had underestimated Earth. They had assumed human technology was primitive. They had never considered that a species might develop military technology faster than peaceful applications. They had never imagined that humans might have been preparing for this day from the moment they reached the stars. Ambassador Eric Walsh watched the broadcasts from his ship, already heading back to Earth. He had done his part. Now the military was doing theirs. He felt a mix of pride and sadness. Pride that Earth had refused to surrender. Sadness that it had come to war. His comm system chimed. It was Ambassador Gentar of the Pelax. The Pelax were one of the species the Council had subjugated years ago. Ambassador Walsh, Gentar said carefully. Is it true? Did Earth really attack the Council? Did Gentar ziz? Yes, Eric said simply. And the proof of deception you broadcast? All true. The Council tried to enslave us. We refused. There was a long pause. Then Gentar spoke again, his voice shaking with emotion. My people have been under Council control for 8 years. They took our military. They took our government. They said it was for our own good. But we lost everything that made us who we were. Eric waited. He knew what was coming. If Earth is truly fighting the Council, Gentar said, then my people want to help. We want our freedom back. Eric smiled. Then stand with us. Rise against the Council forces on your world. We'll support you. They will call it rebellion. They will say we're terrorists. They can call it whatever they want, Eric said. History will call it liberation. The message went out. Not just to the Pelax, but to every species the Council had conquered. To the Ven working in mines. To the Korathi, who had lost their culture. To all the victims of the Council's lies. Earth had struck the first blow. Now others would join the fight. Captain Ryan Torres received new orders as his ship moved toward the next target. Admiral Harrison wanted Earth's forces to protect any species that rose up against Council occupation. That meant splitting the fleet. It meant taking risks. But it also meant showing the galaxy that Earth's words were backed by action. Set course for the Ven home world, Ryan ordered. Intelligence reports they're preparing to revolt. We're going to make sure the Council can't stop them. His crew moved with purpose. They had won the first battle. But the war was just beginning. Across the galaxy, the Council's carefully maintained order was breaking apart. Species that had accepted their rule without question now demanded answers. Species that had been conquered saw hope for freedom, and neutral species watched with wide eyes as humanity, the newcomers who were supposed to be weak, proved stronger than anyone had imagined. The Galactic Council had lied. They had underestimated Earth. And in one night of fire and fury, humanity had made them pay for both mistakes. The galaxy would never be the same. The galactic community fractured within 48 hours of Earth's attack. Council member species demanded emergency sessions. Conquered species rose in rebellion. Neutral governments scrambled to figure out which side would win. And at the center of the chaos, humanity kept pressing forward. Ambassador Julie Sanders arrived at the neutral station of Terminus 3 with a small security detail. The station was old, built centuries ago as a meeting place for species that did not trust each other enough to meet on home worlds. Today, it would host the most important gathering in galactic history. Ambassador, one of her guards said quietly. We're reading weapons signatures from at least 6 different species. This could be a trap. Julie shook her head. If they wanted us dead, they would have attacked our ships. But don't be aggressive. She walked into the main conference hall and stopped. The room was packed. Representatives from 40 different species filled the seats. Some she recognized as Council victims. Others were neutrals. A few were even from Council member species, though they looked nervous about being here. Ambassador Gentar of the Pelax stood when he saw her. Ambassador Sanders, he said formally. Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss. Julie took her seat at the head of the table. She looked around at the faces watching her. Some hopeful, some scared, all waiting for Earth to explain what happened next. I know you have questions, Julie began. I'll answer what I can. But first, I need you to understand something. Earth did not want war. We wanted to join the galactic community as equals. The Council tried to make us slaves instead. So we fought back. A Ven representative, her skin still showing scars from mine work, spoke up. Your Admiral Harrison said Earth would help other species fight for freedom. Was that just words? Or do you mean it? We mean it, Julie said firmly. Earth ships are already moving to support the Ven uprising on your home world. We're providing weapons, supplies, and military assistance to any species fighting Council occupation. Why? Asked a Korathi delegate. Julie smiled slightly. We gain allies. We gain friends. And we prove that strength doesn't have to be used for conquest. The Council showed you one way to have power. We're showing you another. A neutral species representative, a tall being covered in blue scales, leaned forward. The Council is calling you warmongers. They say you attacked without provocation. They're telling the galaxy that Earth is the real threat. Of course they are, Julie said. We broadcast proof of their lies, but they'll deny it. They'll try to make themselves the victims. So let me ask you something. In the past week, has Earth attacked any neutral world? Silence. Have we demanded tribute? Have we threatened anyone who hasn't threatened us? Have we tried to force any species to join our side? More silence. The Council subjugated 3 species before trying to do the same to us. We have testimony from survivors. We have financial records. We have recordings of Council leaders admitting their plans. All of that is public now. Judge for yourselves who the real threat is. The meeting continued for hours. Julie answered questions, negotiated agreements, and built the foundation for what would become the alliance against the Council. It was slow work. These species had been afraid of the Council for decades, some for centuries. Fear did not disappear overnight, but hope was a powerful thing, and Earth had given them hope. On the Ven homeworld, Captain Tony Mitchell watched from orbit as the rebellion began. The Ven had been planning this for weeks, waiting for the right moment. Earth's attack on the Council had given them that moment. "Captain, we're reading Council garrison forces mobilizing," his tactical officer reported. "They're moving to suppress the uprising." "Not today, they're not," Tony said. "Target their troop transports. Fire when ready." The ESS Horizon's weapons lit up the sky. Council ships trying to reach the cities exploded before they could land. Ground installations that housed occupation forces took precision strikes. And all across the planet, Ven citizens who had been slaves for 20 years fought back against their oppressors. "Sir, we're receiving a message from the Ven resistance leader. She's thanking us." Tony pulled up the communication. A Ven female appeared on screen. Dirt and blood on her face, but eyes bright with determination. "Captain Mitchell," she said, "your people kept your word. The Council said no one would help us. They said resistance was pointless. You proved them wrong. Keep fighting," Tony said. "We'll make sure the Council can't send reinforcements. Your freedom is your own to take. We're just making sure you get a fair chance." The Ven leader smiled. "That's more than anyone else has given us in 20 years. We won't forget this." Similar scenes played out on the Karathi homeworld, on Pelax colonies, and in a dozen other systems where Council occupation forces suddenly found themselves facing both local uprisings and Earth warships. Dr. Nicole Warren sat in her office at Earth's Xenopolitics Institute, analyzing the data flooding in from across the galaxy. As Earth's leading expert on alien cultures and politics, she had predicted much of what was happening. But even she was surprised by the speed of it. "The Council's approval rating has dropped by 40% in just 3 days, her assistant said. 12 member species are calling for investigations into the conquest treaties. 8 are threatening to leave the Council entirely." Nicole pulled up the economic data. "And their trade networks? Collapsing. 30 species have suspended commerce with Council worlds. The Council's economy is built on tribute from conquered species and trade agreements that favored them. Both of those are falling apart. All are well. The 4-Ij," Nicole nodded slowly. "They're finished. They just don't know it yet." "What about Earth? How are we being perceived?" "Mixed," Nicole admitted. "Some species see us as liberators. Others are scared of us. And some think we're just replacing the Council with human dominance. Are we?" Nicole looked at her assistant. "That's the question, isn't it?" Admiral Harrison said, "We want a fair galaxy. Ambassador Sanders is promising equality for all species. But talk is easy. We need to prove it with actions." Commander Scott Davis proved it with actions on the world of Kelvin 7. His ships had arrived to find a refugee crisis. 3 million Ven fleeing Council retaliation. No food. No medical supplies. No shelter. "Set up field hospitals," Scott ordered. "Get engineers on the ground to build temporary housing, and someone get me a comm line to Earth. We need emergency supplies shipped here yesterday." His crew worked around the clock. Doctors treated the wounded. Engineers built shelters. Security teams protected the refugees from Council raiders. And through it all, Scott made sure every refugee knew who was helping them. "Why are you doing this?" a young Ven asked him. She could not have been more than 16. "Because it's the right thing to do," Scott said simply. "Because my government believes all people deserve freedom and safety. And because humans know what it's like to fight for those things." The girl looked at him with wonder. The council said humans were primitive. They said, you were barely civilized. Scott laughed. Yeah, well, the council said a lot of things that weren't true. You'll find that out. Back on Earth, Senator Katie Brooks addressed a joint session of government. The chamber was full. Every representative wanted to know what was happening. The war was only a week old, but it was already bigger than anyone had imagined. The operation has succeeded beyond our expectations, Katie said. We've destroyed 60% of the Council's military capacity. We've supported uprisings on 7 occupied worlds. We've made contact with 40 neutral species, and most are sympathetic to our cause. And the cost? Someone asked. 17 ships damaged, 4 destroyed. 238 personnel killed in action. 3,000 wounded. The chamber was quiet. Katie let them feel the weight of those numbers. Those people died defending Earth's freedom and helping others find theirs. Their sacrifice was not in vain. The Council's power is broken. But we have a choice to make now. Do we press our advantage and force a complete surrender? Or do we offer terms for peace? The debate lasted hours. Some wanted total victory. Others worried about becoming like the Council. In the end, they agreed to let the military continue operations while offering peace talks to any Council species willing to negotiate. Council Prime Velcor read Earth's offer in his chambers. Around him, his world was falling apart. Member species were in revolt. The economy was crashing. His military was shattered, and the humans who were supposed to be easy prey were offering him a way out. The terms were simple. Dissolve the Galactic Council. Free all conquered species. Submit to an investigation of war crimes, and help create a new galactic government with equal representation for all species. They're asking us to surrender everything, Velcor said to his remaining advisors. Sir, we don't have a choice, one of them replied. Our fleet is broken. Half our member species are threatening to leave. The economy is collapsing. If we don't accept, the humans will keep attacking until we have nothing left. Velcor wanted to rage. He wanted to fight. He wanted to prove that the Council was still powerful. But he looked at the reports and knew the truth. The Council had gambled on Earth, being weak. They had lost that gamble. Now they would pay the price. Send a message to Admiral Harrison, Velcor said quietly. Tell him we accept his terms. The Council will dissolve. The message reached Jack Harrison on the bridge of the Independence. He read it twice to make sure he understood correctly. They surrendered, he said to his staff. It's over. His executive officer looked skeptical. Sir, it could be a trick. A delaying tactic. Possibly, Jack agreed. But we'll proceed as if it's genuine. Order all strike groups to hold position. No more attacks unless we're fired on first. And get Ambassador Sanders on the comm. She's going to have a lot of work to do. Across the galaxy, word spread that the Council had surrendered. Some celebrated, some mourned, some just sat in shock at how quickly everything had changed. On the Ven homeworld, the resistance leader stood in what had been the Council Governor's office. It was hers now. The Council forces had fled or surrendered. Her people were free. What will we do now? Her second asked. She looked out at the city, where Ven citizens were celebrating in the streets. We rebuild, she said. We remember. And we make sure the galaxy never forgets what the Council did to us. Or what Earth did to help us. The galaxy had changed in just 1 week. The old order was gone. What came next would be up to all of them. 6 months after the first shot was fired, representatives from 140 species gathered on the neutral world of Sanctum. The ancient meeting hall had hosted peace talks for thousands of years. Today, it would witness the birth of a new galactic order. Admiral Jack Harrison walked through the crowded corridors, nodding to delegates from dozens of worlds. Some he recognized from intelligence briefings. Others were complete strangers. All of them were here for the same reason. To build something better than what the Council had been. Admiral, Ambassador Julie Sanders said, catching up to him. The Ven delegation wants to thank you personally before the signing. Jack smiled slightly. They already thanked me. 3 times. They're a grateful people, Julie said. You saved their world. Let them express it. Jack followed her to a side chamber where the Ven representatives waited. The leader, a female named Kilara, stood when she saw him. Admiral Harrison, she said formally. My people owe you a debt we can never fully repay. 20 years we lived under council rule. 20 years we believed no one would help us. Then Earth came. You proved that power could be used for good. Jack shook his head. Your people freed themselves. We just made sure the council couldn't stop you. The courage was yours. Kilara smiled. And the weapons were yours. And the ships that protected us while we fought. And the supplies that kept us alive. Do not diminish what you did. Admiral, history will remember Earth as the species that stood up when others would not. Jack accepted her thanks gracefully, though he felt uncomfortable with the praise. He had done his duty. Nothing more. The fact that his duty had helped free millions of people was satisfying, but it did not make him a hero. It made him a soldier who got lucky. The main chamber filled quickly. Delegates took their seats according to protocols that had been negotiated over months. No species had priority seating. No one sat above anyone else. The chamber was designed as a circle, with every delegate equal. Ambassador Eric Walsh stood at the center, holding the document that would define the new order. 6 months ago, he had been gathering evidence of the Council's crimes. Now he was helping write the laws that would prevent such crimes from happening again. Representatives of the galaxy, Eric began. We gather here today, not as conquerors or conquered, but as equals. The Galactic Council claimed to speak for all species. In truth, they spoke only for themselves and their interests. They subjugated the weak and lied to the strong. That era is over. He held up the document. This is the Charter of the Federation of Free Worlds. It establishes a government based on consent, not coercion. It guarantees that no species can be conquered or enslaved. It creates a military to defend all members, not to expand anyone's power. And it ensures that every species, from the most advanced to the newest, has an equal voice. Eric looked around the chamber. Some of you were council members. Some were victims. Some were neutral. Today, none of that matters. Today, we all choose to be part of something better. Or we choose to walk away. There is no middle ground. The Federation will accept no species that wishes to dominate others. We will tolerate no return to the old ways. One by one, species came forward to sign. The Ven signed first. Kilara's hand steady as she marked her name. The Karathi signed next. Then the Pilax. Then dozens of others who had suffered under council rule. When it came time for former council species to sign, the chamber grew tense. These were the people who had benefited from conquest. Would they truly accept equality? The Drex representative stood, a tall being with silver skin and eyes that could see in frequencies humans could not. His species had been council members for 3 centuries. My people were complicit in the council's crimes, he said quietly. We believed we were bringing order to the galaxy. We believed the conquered species needed our guidance. We were wrong. And we are sorry. He signed the charter. The Drex joined the Federation not as rulers, but as equals. We will work to make amends for our past actions. And we will ensure that such actions never happen again. Others followed. Not all former council species signed. Some left the chamber, refusing to give up their privileges. But enough signed to show that change was possible. When it came time for Earth to sign, Senator Katie Brooks stood. She had been elected as Earth's primary representative to the new Federation. The responsibility weighed on her, but she carried it with dignity. Earth signs this charter, knowing that we helped create it through war, she said. We do not celebrate that. War is terrible, even when necessary. But we do not regret defending our freedom or helping others find theirs. Humanity joins the Federation with hope for a peaceful future and a commitment to defend that peace if challenged. She signed. The chamber erupted in applause. Captain Ryan Torres stood on the bridge of the Valiant, now part of the Federation Defense Fleet. His ship patrolled the border regions, watching for pirates and protecting trade routes. It was quiet work, boring, even, but it mattered. "Captain," Lieutenant Megan Foster said, "we're receiving a distress call from a civilian transport. They're under attack by raiders." Ryan smiled. "Set intercept course. Let's show these raiders what happens when you attack innocent people." The Valiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel right on top of the raider ships. 3 small vessels, poorly armed, trying to rob a merchant convoy. They took one look at the Earth warship and ran. "Sir, should we pursue?" Megan asked. "No need," Ryan said. "Broadcast a warning. Tell them this region is under Federation protection. Next time they attack civilians, we won't be so generous." The raiders fled. The merchant captain sent a grateful message, and Ryan went back to his patrol. This was what Earth's military did now. They protected instead of conquered. They defended instead of invaded. It was the role Jack Harrison had envisioned when he planned Operation Daybreak. Dr. Amy Chen worked in her laboratory, no longer hidden in an asteroid. The Federation had asked her to share Earth's weapons technology. She had agreed, but with conditions. The technology would only be used for defense. It would be available to all Federation members equally, and she would personally oversee its distribution. "Doctor," her assistant said, "the Korathi delegation is here for their training session." Amy looked up. 3 Korathi engineers stood nervously in the doorway. Their species had been disarmed by the Council decades ago. Now they were learning to build weapons again, to defend themselves and their allies. "Come in," Amy said. "Today we're covering particle beam focusing systems. Pay attention. This technology could save your lives someday." The Korathi listened carefully. They asked good questions. They took detailed notes. And Amy felt satisfied that she was helping create a galaxy where species could defend themselves, instead of relying on others to protect them. Council Prime Velcor sat in a cell on his homeworld, awaiting trial. The Federation had charged him with crimes against sentient beings. The evidence was overwhelming. He would spend the rest of his life in prison, if the judges were merciful. He had visitors sometimes. Historians wanting to understand how the Council had fallen so far. Journalists asking about his motivations. Velcor told them the truth. The Council had not started as tyrants. They had started with good intentions. They had wanted to bring order to a chaotic galaxy, but good intentions were not enough. Power corrupted. Success bred arrogance, and over centuries, the Council had forgotten that ruling required consent, not just strength. "Do you regret what you did?" a journalist asked him. Velcor thought about that. "I regret underestimating Earth. If I had known what they were capable of, I would have approached them differently." "So you only regret getting caught?" Velcor shook his head. "I regret that it took humanity to show us what we had become. The Council could have been something good. Instead, we became exactly what we claimed to protect the galaxy from. That is my true regret." Ambassador Gentar stood with Eric Walsh at the dedication of the Federation Memorial. The massive structure honored all species that had suffered under Council rule. Names were carved into the walls, millions of them. Ven miners, who died in accidents. Korathi artists whose work was destroyed. Pelak's children separated from their families. All remembered. All honored. "This is important," Gentar said quietly. "My people need to remember what we lost. And what we gained." Eric nodded. "Earth has memorials too. We remember all the times we fought for freedom. Sometimes we fought each other. Sometimes we fought outside threats, but we always remembered that freedom has a cost. And now you share that lesson with the galaxy." "Now we all share it," Eric corrected. "The Federation is not Earth's creation. It's everyone's. We all built it together." Gentar smiled. Spoken like a true diplomat. "But we both know Earth was the catalyst. Without your strike against the Council, none of this would exist." "Maybe," Eric admitted. "But without your people rising up, without the Ven fighting back, without all the species that joined us, Earth would have just been another warmonger. It was the combination that mattered. We proved that the galaxy wanted something better. We just had to be brave enough to fight for it. The memorial's dedication ended with a moment of silence. All across the galaxy, people paused to remember those who had suffered and those who had fought, and to commit to ensuring it never happened again. Admiral Jack Harrison stood alone in his office, looking at the stars. The war was over. The Federation was established. Peace, fragile and new, had come to the galaxy. His work was done. "Admiral," a voice said from the doorway. It was Captain Stephanie Kane. "The Council asked me to deliver something to you." Jack turned. Stephanie held a small case. "It's from the Ven," she said. "And the Karathi. And the Pelax. And about 40 other species. They wanted you to have it." Jack opened the case. Inside was a medal, but not like any military decoration he had seen. It was made from metals contributed by every freed species. Inscribed in 100 languages was a simple phrase: "For those who fight for others." "They wanted to call you a hero," Stephanie said, "but Ambassador Sanders told them you would hate that, so they settled for this." Jack looked at the medal for a long moment. Then he closed the case. "Put it in the museum," he said, "next to the names of everyone who died in Operation Daybreak. They're the real heroes." "I just gave the orders," Stephanie smiled. "She said you would say that too. So they made two. One for the museum. One for you. No arguments." She placed the case on his desk and left. Jack looked at it for a while. Then he put it in a drawer. Maybe someday he would feel like he deserved it. But not today. Today, he just felt grateful that Earth had survived. That humanity had found its place among the stars. And that the galaxy had been given a chance to be better. The Galactic Council had lied. They had tried to enslave Earth. They had underestimated humanity's will to be free. And they had paid for those mistakes with everything they had built over 1,000 years. In their place stood something new. Something built on consent instead of coercion. On equality instead of domination. On hope instead of fear. The Federation was not perfect. No government was. But it was better than what came before, and that was enough. Earth had struck without warning, and the galaxy had reeled. But from that chaos came opportunity. The opportunity to build something worth defending. Something worth believing in. And as Admiral Jack Harrison looked out at the stars, he allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had fought for its freedom, and in doing so, had helped an entire galaxy find theirs. The story of how Earth refused to kneel would be told for generations. But the story of what came after, the story of how enemies became allies and fear became hope, that story was just beginning, and it was a story worth telling.